Hello, thank you for joining me. The topic I want to discuss today is something that probably a lot of people who contemplate the possibility of an existence of a God, of a divinity, would often ponder, how is it that God is so omnipresent, omniscient, so aware of all that is going on within this material cosmic creation, and also aloof, enjoying his own reality, her own reality, whoever this God is? How is it that they could possibly, inconceivably, be enjoying their own reality in that spiritual domain and not be bothered by keeping track of every living entity's activities, all of our good behaviors and our bad behaviors? Is God like Santa Claus? He's got a checklist, gonna find out who's been naughty or nice. The beauty of the creation as put forth by the Vedic literatures is that the supreme intelligent being, who is a supreme transcendental person, and is not simply limited to just being a energy that pervades all things, although that is one of the aspects of the supreme being. This supreme entity has the capability, beyond the conceivability of our small human brains, to enjoy separately, in the sense that Krishna, God, is the supreme enjoyer. He is an ever youthful, eternally beautiful cowherd boy playing in the fields of Vrindavan Dham, the spiritual abode, with his beautiful consort Radharani, all her gopi friends, his mother and father, his brother, and all of his boy associates who he romps through the fields, frolicking and playing with the cows. This supreme entity, who I keep referring to like that, this wonderful, delightful, prankish child or youth, Sri Krishna, is performing his leelas, his pastimes, for his enjoyment and for the ecstasy of all the inhabitants of that abode. And that is his only concern. It is a byproduct that the material cosmic manifestation is going on. This is why Krishna expands himself unlimitedly into many Vishnu forms, which then create the cosmic manifestation, Mahavishnu, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, these various Vishnu forms, which are present within different compartmentalized aspects of creation. So the material cosmos is known as the external energy of God. Here we are, conditioned souls. Although each and every soul is part and parcel of God, we are very much part of God in quality, and yet in quantity very minute. We are like sparks of the fire, or sparks of the sun, or the sun's rays. The sun is great, and it has innumerable rays. So the jivas, the jivatma, us, the living soul, we are like rays of the sun. So we have that quality of God within us. It is divine, it is magnificent, it is grand, beyond our belief and comprehension at this time. However, it is covered, easily covered, by material energy. And we are exploiting this material energy with our 5 blunt senses, 6 senses, and whatever other senses we may be utilizing, subtle senses. And we are attempting to extract enjoyment from this material nature. And we can all admit there seems to be some levels of enjoyment. Perhaps even some love, some some affection that we feel with other living entities. And this is all well and good. This is a place where we again can reconnect with what is real. Meaning, although everything in this material world and our experience here is illusory, and it is a perverted reflection of what exists in the spiritual reality. So I will refer to the matrix because this is something in our culture, in our society, in the West, we are all familiar with the matrix. We are certainly locked into a matrix of material life that is keeping us on the wheel of samsara, birth and death. Now, this is very real, and we are all experiencing this. Our bodies are changing constantly from childhood to youth to mid-age to old age to death. And the soul is transmigrating from one body to the next. Right now, I happen to be in what seems to be a male middle-aged body, but that will change. And I, the soul, will continue in some form or another, be it an animal or a demigod or a human, in whatever condition, we don't know. But according to the fruits of our activities, our karma, we are now experiencing the karma of all of our past activities, and by our present choice of activities and the development of our consciousness, we are laying the groundwork for our future bodies. Now, if we want to get out and freed from this cycle of birth and death, then there must be a key, a way out of the matrix. It is no simple thing. Believe me, yogis and mystics of all the ages and of all cultures have attempted in many ways through austerities, controlling the breath and the mind, and performing great austerities. And these things bring one to certain levels of mystic abilities, mystic perfection, bring a person to certain heights of realization about reality. Now, in the Vedas, there are 3 different transcendentalists described. One is the yogi, the jnani, and the bhakti yogi. So the yogi, of course, is one who practices and perfects the practices of hatha yoga into ashtanga yoga, and through the cultivation of these practices, witnesses Paramatma or super soul within the heart, and identifies with that super soul and thinks, I am God. And this is a high level of realization. I am one with the God I am. And that's beautiful. But to consider oneself God and not to acknowledge the God without, that also is dominating or controlling all things. We must have to admit, no matter how realized we become through the yogic process, am I keeping all the planets floating in space? Am I truly involved to that degree in creation? No. We can become quite super conscious and merge our consciousness with the oneness of all things. This is Brahman realization. The jnani yogi, through deep intellectual speculation and study and austerity, excuse me, may reach a level of realization of understanding one's oneness with all things. This is also very good. We want to come to this stage of Brahman realization. But don't stop there. We are more than just one with all things. Then you lose your identity. The real significance of eternality is that we are eternal individuals. Don't be afraid. We're only afraid of that thought when we think, oh my God, that means I have to suffer for eternity. No. When you only suffer for eternity when you continue in the wheel of samsara. But when you want to wake up and you want to realize your connection to divinity, then you will humbly take the position, I am servant of that supreme being, that supreme loving, intimate personality. I will call them my mother, father, God, Shri Shri Radha and Krishna. They care about me and love me beyond any comprehension. And I am able to serve them with such devotion and such love. One example is the king and the servants. The king treats the servants and they live lavishly as the king lives. So to be a servant is not a filthy thing or a subservient thing. It really is not. Because when you understand this philosophy to its innermost depths, you understand Krishna allows himself to be overwhelmed by his devotees. He is so much wanting to relish the love and the bhav and the prem within the heart of his bhaktas, of his devotees, that he draws them all to him and enjoys with them, lovingly infusing his love and extracting their love. And this is a great drama, a leela of love that goes on for eternity. And we can all participate in this. This is why we are created. So I would like to read a few little verses here that bring home this message. This material nature is working under my direction, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita chapter 9, text 10. O son of Kunti, he's speaking to his beloved brother and friend Arjuna. This material nature is producing all moving and non-moving beings. By its rule, this manifestation is being created and annihilated again and again. So this material energy is the external energy of Krishna. It is going on automatically. He does not have to concern himself, for he is enjoying separately in his spiritual domain, completely like oblivious to all the things happening in the material world. Only when he really wants to be concerned, when he wants to turn his attention on his devotees, he can be with them in a moment. But what I'm saying is these things are being supervised by his many Vishnu expansions and many demigods. So things are in perfect control. There's another verse here, and yet this is from Bhagavad Gita chapter 9, text 5. And yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, still myself is the very source of creation. So we'll break it down here. Although all beings in the universe are resting in Krishna's energy, still they are not in him. Krishna is maintaining all living entities, and his energy is all-pervading, yet he is elsewhere. This is Krishna's inconceivable mystic opulence. He is everywhere, yet he is aloof from everything. Sounds like a contradiction, doesn't it? But the supreme divinity is fully capable of transcending all contradictions. We can perceive his energy, but we cannot see him because he cannot be seen with material eyes. However, when we develop our spiritual qualities, we sanctify our senses so that even within this energy of the material energy, we can see him with eyes tinged with the salve of love. So how does this love develop? It would be through the process of Bhakti Yoga. I'm going to read a couple more verses from our beloved Srimad Bhagavad Gita. This is from chapter 13 called Nature, the Enjoyer, and Consciousness. I would like everyone to get a copy of the Bhagavad Gita, particularly Bhagavad Gita as it is. Please order one. Our website, bhakti-palace.com, we can provide these for you. One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position. So that is a beautiful verse. And the purport here says, clear understanding of material nature, the supersoul, the individual soul, and their interrelation makes one eligible to become liberated and turn to the spiritual atmosphere without being forced to return to this material nature. This is the result of knowledge. The purpose of knowledge is to understand distinctly that the living entity has by chance fallen into this material existence. By his personal endeavor in association with authorities, saintly persons, and a spiritual master, the living entity has to understand this position and then revert to spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness by understanding Bhagavad Gita as it is explained by the personality of Godhead. Then it is certain that he will never come again into this material existence. He will be transferred into the spiritual world for a blissful, eternal life of knowledge. Now I will read from chapter 18, the perfection of renunciation, text 55. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service, and when one is in full consciousness of me by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. So we are becoming curious now how to perform this devotional service. This is the key, my friends. The key, I'm telling you right now, to unlock the matrix of material conditioning. The key is found in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the Song of God. This transcendental literature was delivered 5,000 years ago to this planet, and it is still intact. There are many religions in the world, and they can all help us to come through the labyrinth and reach this point of divine knowledge by which we can understand in complete clarity exactly who the Creator is in the most personal and confidential feature. When one has access to this transcendental knowledge, one is blessed to receive with complete clarity the whole picture of material and spiritual realities and pass through the illusion into the divine reality. So this particular verse I have heard is considered the most important verse of Bhagavad Gita. It is chapter 18, the perfection of renunciation, text 66. Krishna says, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Who else can say this but the Supreme Personality of Godhead? We have to put a lot of faith and a lot of trust in a statement like that. But who's bold enough to say such a thing? Has anyone ever said such a thing? Sri Krishna, throughout the Bhagavad Gita, is exclaiming to Arjuna. Arjuna represents all of us. We are the Lord's potential pure devotees. And the Supreme Being is reaching out and in such a compassionate way calling out to all of us. Try to understand the workings of this external energy and how you are trapped here and how you can return to me. The Supreme Being has been giving breadcrumbs and secret and sacred messages through various mystical ways in all parts of the globe. Is it a globe? We don't know. Perhaps not. Perhaps it's a flat plane we're living on, but that is kind of insignificant right now. What really matters is how to get out of this illusion. So I will read a bit here from the purport. As soon as one seriously engages himself in devotional service to the Lord in full Krishna consciousness, at once he becomes freed from all contamination of material nature. There are different processes of religion and purificatory processes by cultivation of knowledge, meditation in the mystic yoga system, etc. But one who surrenders unto Krishna does not have to execute so many methods. That simple surrender unto Krishna will save him from unnecessarily wasting time. One can thus make all progress at once and be freed from all sinful reactions. See, there are other processes for achieving high levels of consciousness. Maybe it's Buddhism, different Buddhist practices. Maybe it's Zen, Satori, reaching Satori. Maybe it's the mystic contemplation of the Christians. So many methods are there for achieving levels of sublime consciousness in which our mind can be at peace. But there are three modes of material nature: ignorance, passion, and goodness. Ignorance brings delusion and madness, and a lot of frustration. We all experience ignorance at times. But some people who are really immersed in ignorance, they go to lower worlds, they go to lower planets, they go to lower life forms at the end of this life. Those in the mode of passion continue in the human realm, striving for so much gain, material gain and material profit, adoration and distinction. This is called Rajagun. There is the mode of goodness, Sattva Gun. This is the poets, the philosophers, and the scientists. They are very peacefully engaged in their intellectual studies and their pursuits of refined beauty in nature. And this can allure them, and they can continue from one life to the next, kind of stuck in this mode of goodness. Even the meditators may be stuck in the mode of Sattva Gun. But we want to go to the level of Shuddha Sattva. This is pure goodness. This is transcendental consciousness. And how do you transcend the strict material energy? Only by the grace of the divine consciousness, of the mercy and sweet will of the Supreme Entity who controls it all. When one surrenders through humility one's consciousness and says, "My beloved, you are certainly the purveyor, the dominating force of all reality. I give myself unto thee. Please guide me and make me yours." By this grace, all the gates open, and one can transcend material nature. One should be attracted by the beautiful vision of Krishna. His name is Krishna because he is all attractive. Krishna means all attractive in Sanskrit. One who becomes attracted by the beautiful, all-powerful, omnipotent vision of Krishna is very fortunate. There are different kinds of transcendentalists. Some of them are attached to the impersonal Brahman vision. Some of them are attracted by the supersoul feature, etc. But one who is attracted to the personal feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and above all, that can refer to many of the Vishnu forms because they are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But beyond even all the Vishnu forms is this most intimate, loving form of Sri Krishna. He is known as Adi Purush, the supreme form, the avatari, the avatar of all avatars. One who is attracted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Krishna himself is the most perfect transcendentalist. In other words, devotional service to Krishna in full consciousness is the most confidential part of knowledge. And this is the essence of the whole Bhagavad Gita. Karma yogis, empiric philosophers, mystics, and devotees are all called transcendentalists. But one who is a pure devotee of Krishna is the best of all. The particular words used here, masuchaha in Sanskrit, don't fear, don't hesitate, don't worry, are very significant. One may be perplexed as to how one can give up all kinds of religious forms and simply surrender unto Krishna. But such worry is useless. I promise anyone that if they just experiment in this process of giving your heart, your consciousness to Krishna, you will see for yourself within your heart, within your mind, within your soul, the transformation that will take place immediately within your life. And you will know for certain within your heart, within your consciousness, of this supreme truth. Bhagavan Sri Krishna is reality, the sweet absolute. Thank you, my friends. Let's do this again sometime.